Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're delighted to have Gary Woodland here with us at the Press Building. Gary, welcome on behalf of all of us to your coming back here. Good to have you back again, and congratulations on your great win in Houston.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back here. I can tell you it was hard missing this place last year, and I'm overexcited to be back.
Well, it was a very emotional win you had in Houston. It was a delight to watch on television. How do you feel about the whole thing now that you've had such a great win and you're back here at the Masters after missing a year?
Yeah, I was reminded pretty quickly when I won that I would be back here, and that's something I didn't know when that was going to come again. And, you know, winning was probably the last thing on my mind for a long time, and unfortunately probably playing here was the last thing on my mind for a long time, and I'm thrilled to knock both of those off a list in 1 week. So this is the pinnacle of everything here, and it was hard to miss last year, but I'm happy and excited and looking forward to this week being back.
Well, welcome back, and let me open it up to some questions, please. Thank you.
Gary, as you got into contention there, obviously we all know that a win and you're in the Masters and you weren't in any other way. Did it cross your mind at all as you were playing or preparing? And if it did you have to block it out?
Yeah, it didn't cross my mind. My mind's changed a lot over the last couple of years, and I just don't have the luxury of looking ahead. When I'm not on the course, I'm in a battle, and when I'm on the course, I'm in a battle. And I just, you know, I was talking to JT, I think, about it earlier, you know, because he asked me how I looked pretty calm on Sunday, and I said, you know, the doctors and everybody I'm working with, we're trying to slow my heart rate down, we're trying to slow my thoughts down, and just to function and be healthy. But doing those things obviously helps my golf game as well. I wish I knew a lot of this stuff 20 years ago. But I can't think ahead of myself. I'm trying to get through each moment and each day, one day at a time. And I also think that helps from a golf standpoint, that helps as well, staying so in the moment, singular focus.
Hey, Don.
Gary, the challenges that you have faced and conquered have been quite extraordinary, and you've managed to come out the other side, not just as a man, but your golf is also still at the very peak. You've been very open about the challenges you faced. How do you think that's helped you remain or become a better golfer?
It's given me purpose, golf has, for sure. You know, when I was diagnosed with this brain tumor 3 years ago, my number one thought was I wasn't gonna let this thing win. I've dreamed of being a professional athlete since I was a little kid, and I would do everything in my power to live that dream, you know, from my childhood self. And golf has given me something a lot more to fight for than just myself and my family. And I love being out here. I love the guys, I love competing. And the thought of losing that is hard. And you know, there's been times where I didn't know if I was gonna be able to do it, but I was gonna fight and give it everything I had. And there's definitely times even this year where physically I think my game is as complete as it's ever been. I think it's more complete than when I won in 19, the US Open, but there's been times where I didn't know if I would have the mental stamina to get through a week. I fought hard earlier this year with some struggles, and that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow, that this thing could be taken away from me for something that's out of my control. But Houston was a big step for me in the right direction, just from a confidence standpoint that even with hard days, I can still compete.
Given everything you've been through, how do you think it might feel if this journey ends with a green jacket being slipped on your shoulders?
Like I said, I got to worry about today. That's a big tell. I love this place. I love the tradition. There's nothing like driving down Magnolia Lane. I definitely drove down a little slower this year than I ever have, even the first time when I was here in 2011. I'm definitely taking it all in this week for sure.
Dan Evans, please.
Gary, we've been noticing a steady increase in ball speed throughout the year and getting quite fast down in Houston. I'm curious what's behind that. Is it new equipment in the bag, the new driver, or what's giving you back this speed?
I've been telling guys I think I'm just angry that I have to battle this thing in my head, but I'll credit Randy Smith to that. When I came back to Randy about a year and a half ago, he told me I was swinging slow. I was with Randy when I got out here. I was with Randy for a long time, and he's always said my best golf is when I play aggressive and I swing hard. And not only that, from the last 4 or 5 years, I haven't played very well, and I've changed my equipment. I've gone down in shaft, I've gone up in loft, I've done a lot of things just to try to find the face and try to find the golf course. Randy's big thing is that's not how you've ever played your best, and we're gonna go back to swinging hard. So I'm swinging at it harder now than I have in a long time. We've gone way down in loft, and I'm starting to swing it at a lot better where I have a lot more confidence. The more confidence I have, the harder I can swing. So I'm happy with that. I don't think it's going to get any faster, but it's definitely as fast as I've been, in the last 5 or 6 years, which is exciting.
Tom?
Gary, you've been here 12 other times, including 24, which was after your surgery. But today, obviously, you're more emotional about it. What is it? Because you never thought you'd be back here? What is driving the way you are feeling this week?
Yeah. I'm in a different spot than I've been in a long time. Even in coming back in 24, I was still fresh from surgery. I just didn't know what the future held. And now I know the fight I'm in. I'm not going to get emotional, but I know what I'm battling every day. And, people have asked me, how was the win? The one thing I know is having this brain tumor and having PTSD, it doesn't matter if I win or lose. It doesn't care. And I had a tough week last week battling this stuff. It's a lot of stimulation comes with winning, stuff that I hadn't seen in a long time. And it's a big week for me here this week. The fans are very close on the tee boxes. There's a lot going on, and there's probably not a safer golf tournament in the world, and so I'm happy for that, but it's still a battle in my head if I'm safe or not, and that's a tough pill to swallow. So I'm emotional from the standpoint, I know how close I probably was to never being back here, and I'm very proud of myself for earning my way back.
Charlie?
Gary, I think everyone the golf world rightfully celebrated the initial brain surgery and recovery and your return to golf, but did not know about this whole subsequent battle with PTSD until you shared this with the world at the Players. And I'm wondering if that was something that you expected and how you dealt with that both with public and private support internally, because as you said on the green at Houston, your goal is to inspire people and help support people. And so if there's something that anyone is going through a struggle where there's an initial surgery and a recovery process, if they can take that either for themselves or the people around them, how they can support that person, what you learned and whether that was an expected response to the surgery itself initially.
The response I've gotten since I've came out with this diagnosis is not what I expected, to be honest with you. I did it, it's probably the first thing I've said this, it's probably the first thing I've ever done for myself. I did it because I was really struggling with energy. I was struggling to say no. I don't like to say no. I like to help people. I like to do everything I can. And I'm at a point where that's hard for me to do most weeks. And I need to say no, and the doctors are pushing me. I can't do everything I used to do from a energy standpoint. And I say, when I say no, I feel horrible. I see the disappointment in people's eyes, and they're like, well, then maybe it is time to come out because now people will know why you're saying no. And doing that for myself, that was the hardest part because it was a selfless act, I would say. I was doing it. Response and the messages I've got from people saying that it's helped them is not what I expected. It just shows that everybody's going through something. Everybody's battling something, whether it's way bigger or way less, it doesn't matter what you're battling. To you, it's important. And winning the U.S. Open in 19 had the biggest impact in my life from a golf standpoint. There's no doubt. I hope winning in Houston had a bigger impact in somebody else's life. I hope somebody that's struggling with something sees this guy out here fighting every day and still living his dreams, and then they want to get up and fight and live their dream too. And I really, from the bottom of my hope that happens.
Gianna?
You've obviously been so vocal about everything you have gone through. What is your message to someone who could be watching this right now who is going through something similar to push them to keep going, that you can live out your dreams one day too?
Talk to somebody. You know, we live in a world as men, and especially as an athlete, that you put your head down and you fight through it. I've done it my whole life. And this is honestly one battle that I'm not able to do on my own. I tried. It wasn't working. And talking has helped me so much. I had a big battle Friday at Houston. I got hypervigilant, extreme on the 9th hole, and I battled the last 10 holes thinking people were trying to kill me. And I have security with me. The tour's been amazing. But I talked to tour security that night, and I told them what I was going through. And every time I looked up on the weekend, my security team was behind me. Anytime I got startled on the weekend, I turned around. And last year, I didn't talk to tour security. I fought this on my own, and it was awful. Turning around and knowing that I'm safe, having somebody there with me, that's the only reason why I won 2 weeks ago. So talk to somebody. You don't have to fight this on your own.
Mary Kate?
Gary, we all have associations with Amen Corner and the emotions that those 3 holes evoke. From your perspective, what defines Amen Corner and its role here at Augusta National?
It's as pivotal as 3 holes a stretch as we're going to see in golf. There's no let up. It can be major shifts in the golf tournament. 11 is as demanding as a par 4 you're going to see. 12 is as demanding as a par 3 as you're going to see. And 13, I think, is one of the best par 5s in the world. You can make 3 and you can make 7 pretty quickly. And I think that's the definition of a good hole. But the thing about it on Sunday, too, is you know what everyone's doing because you can hear the crowd. And there's not a lot of courses where you know if somebody's making an eagle or not, but you know it here on 13. 11 is, that's one hole you just got to hit 2 golf shots. And 12, we all know there's not many 150-yard par 3s that we're not aiming at pins on Sunday, and that's definitely one of them. And that's just, I don't know if you can see a bigger shift in 3 holes in the middle of a golf tournament like you can on Amen Corner.
Gary Williams, and then one more question.
Gary, after the Players and when you shared what you did, you finished 14th at the Valspar, obviously you win in Houston. Is there anything that your doctors would tell you that in terms of sharing your vulnerability and the idea that you were hiding something, that to me is not accidental, but it's also only temporary. For you, is it self-fulfilling? Have you felt like these periods of your quiet mind have been extended by virtue of what has happened over the last 3 weeks?
I think the one thing I talked about with doctors afterwards, and they were prepared for it, but I wasn't, was, like I said, the world we live in, speaking about something you would call a weakness is hard. But speaking about it and how I feel afterwards made me a lot stronger. And I didn't know that releasing this battle was going to make me stronger. And it's done that. I feel a lot stronger now than I did 3 weeks ago, I can tell you that. No matter how hard it is out here, I know I have someone I can talk to, I can have security, I have my team have been amazing in helping me, but I've turned a weakness into a strength, and I wouldn't even say it as a weakness, but I think that's the stigma out there. But I feel a lot stronger after I came out, for sure.
Alex, last question. I apologize to everybody else, but that's it. Thank you.
Gary, so did you have to talk to Augusta National about creating security here this week for you?
The tour did, And I've met with, yes, Augusta. I've met with them, their security team.
Will you have people with you during the week?
I'll have, just like on tour, I'll have security with me, but the main deal is they were showing me where security is. The whole deal for me is, it's visual, right? If I can see somebody, then I can remind myself that I'm safe constantly. And so I have a good idea now where security is on every hole. The big deal for me, my caddy knows too, so he can constantly remind me. Because like I said, I don't have control when this thing hits me, and it's tough. And you know, it can be a fan, it can be a walking score, it can be a camera guy running by me. That's just any startlement from behind me can trigger this pretty quickly. And knowing where the security is a constant reminder that I'm safe.
Gary, we want to thank you very much for spending the time with us this afternoon. And on behalf of all of us here at Augusta National, best of luck this week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you.